In a surprise move, presidential aspirant Senator Manny Pacquiao showed up on the first day of the COC filing last Friday with Buhay Party List Representative Lito Atienza as his running mate. Pacquiao said he picked Atienza because of his decades of experience in public service. Let's now get up close and personal with Congressman Lito Atienza. He joins us live via Zoom. Good morning, Congressman. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Buhay, gandang umaga, Priya.
Congressman, going back to last Friday, many see this as an unprecedented move. You running for vice president with Manny Pacquiao. Was this always the plan or was it a sudden decision? Can you take us through the process that made you decide to run?
Actually, we've known each other for, 2 decades, no? I've worked very closely with Manny Pacquiao in his boxing career. And somehow, alam naman niya ang trabaho ko sa gobyerno all this time. So, finally, after searching for a vice president na marami galing sa aking rekomendasyon, ay sabi niya sa akin, alam mo, Congressman, kung talagang gusto mo akong tulungan mo ako ngayon sa kampanya, tapos tulungan mo ako sa administrasyon. You have a wealth of experiences. Sa lahat ng branch of government, nakasali ka na. From the cabinet to the lowly clerk job in City Hall of Manila, at 9 years record-breaking mayor, 6 years vice mayor, 9 years congressman. Tulungan mo ko. Yung experience mo will fill in yung kakulangan ko. And for a man to be admitting that kailangan ka, I believe me, hindi ako nakatanggi. The call of duty to me is always primary. And from the beginning of my political career, basta merong matutulong sa ating bansa, ginagawa ko. We fought the Marcos regime against all odds. Pati ang aking sariling pamilya at ang aking ama ay pinadalahan na ko, wala kang panalo, dadayain ka. Sigurado here, KBL will not allow itself to be defeated. Because that I don't dream of beating the KBL or the Marcoses. I just feel that I have to talk to the people and explain to them the evils of martial law and the abuses of this government and why we should liberate ourselves from them. Sabi ng tatay ko, kung yan ang intention mo, then I give you my blessings. But be prepared, be cheated, because you have no chance of winning. Yun ang mo nangyari, Ria. Nakapagsalita ako sa mga 250 public gatherings. I explained to the people my cause and the reason why I was running for the batas ng pambansa. And on top of that, nanalo kami. So, I did my best. Sabi ko nga, ito regalo ng Panginoon, and I will do my best to reflect the people and sentiments of our people in the halls of regular batas ng pambansa.
Congressman, today, what can people expect from a Pacquiao-Atienza tandem? This particular pairing, you and Manny Pacquiao, what can people expect from that? And in your view, what makes you dynamic?
I know Manny Pacquiao. I know his heart. I know his dreams. I know his character, his intention. He's full of fight and courage and patriotism. Yung kanyang pagnanais na finally gumawa ng paraan upang maangat sa kahirapan ng ating mga kababayan ay isang pagnanais na matagal ko na rin pinananaginipan. Ang isang bansang katulad natin, at quoting Manny Pacquiao, merong biyaya ang bawat Pilipino. Magaling tayo sa iba. Look what I have done. I've shown to the whole world how great the Filipino is in the field of boxing. 8 division champion. 8 divisions from 112 pounds to 147. That's practically impossible. Pero ginawa ni Manny Pacquiao yan. And he wants to inspire our people and unite our people into action na kaya nating paunlarin ang ating sarili sapagkat unang-una binigyan tayo ng Panginoon ng mayaman na kalikasan. Very wealthy natural resources we have. Pero hindi na gagamit para sa kapakanan ng mamamayan. Nawawala ang pera sa korupsyon. Kaya sabi niya, I intend to correct all of this and we will provide the Filipinos a better life. Eh, yung ganyang klaseng programa talaga appeals to me. I've been trying to do that from day one of my public office.
That's right. It is
Kaya-
not an easy task at all. No one has been able to completely stamp out corruption in the country, and we'll get to that. But let's talk about some of the most pressing issues today, Congressman. The Philippines, all of us are weary of the lockdowns due to the pandemic. If you're elected, sir, how would you manage the health crisis differently?
Number one, I'd probably abolish all of these bodies who are supposed to be handling the problem, but they're not doing their job. And Manny Pacquiao gets frustrated with all of this. And I see him frustrated with how the government's handling. Tapos laced by corruption pa. Yun na nababalitaan nating mga face shield, face mask, mga PPEs, mga supply na ninanakaw ng mga ilan sa gobyerno. Angers Manny. I can sense his passion to prevent and stop all of this nonsense and address the problem squarely. And naniniwala siyang ang Pilipino yung may kakayahan na labanan natin itong sakit na ito. But we have to treat it already as a regular problem, endemic disease na kailangan labanan ng bawat mamamayan. Hindi yung gobyerno ang nagdidikta. Sabi nga niya, lockdown ng tao. Why don't we lock down the virus instead? Tama.
Now, Congressman, a direct effect, of course, of the pandemic is the economy. The Philippine economy is suffering. What will your strategy for economic recovery be?
Meron siyang mga idea on how to address the economic condition. Talagang hirap tayo ngayon. Massive capitalization of the small and medium industries and then supporting cooperatives. Ito, importante ito. Yeah, I heard it from him. I will support the cooperatives fully. Yan ang paraan upang ang ekonomiya ng ating bansa ay mabilis na gumalaw. Ang supply ng gobyerno, hindi na dadaan sa mga ahente. Abolisin ko yung DBMPS at yung mga government purchases. I will ask Congress to prepare a law. All supplies of government should be bought from cooperatives. Alam nyo, napakagandang idea niyan. And I have tried that in the city of Manila, it succeeded. I tried it in the Department of Environment, it succeeded. Yung kinikita sa pagbili ng mga goods and supplies and office equipment ay bilhin sa kooperatiba at kung maaari kooperatiba ng mga empleyado, yung kikitain at yung overprice or whatever patong ay pupunta sa empleyado. Kaya natutuwa ako kay Manny. Manny is a genius. Manny is like a sponge. He immediately learns from what he sees, what he reads, what he hears. Mabilis matuto si Manny.
All right.
Unlike other people who matanda na, walang natututunan. Si Manny is a very, very good learner and I have very high hopes. He is the only one who can unite and inspire our people into action.
Now, Congressman, you mentioned corruption earlier. Corruption is so ingrained in our government. How will you curb this, and what makes you sure that you can succeed where others have failed?
I didn't fully grasp the sentence.
Sure, I can repeat it for you, sir. How will you curb corruption, and what makes you sure that you and Manny Pacquiao can succeed where others have failed?
Again, I will not quote myself. I will quote what I hear from Manny Pacquiao. Sabi niya, kaya walang tigil ang korupsyon. Alam nyo, wala kasing nakukulong sa korupsyon. Ikulong muna natin lahat yung malalaking corrupt official. Sabi niya, I'll build the biggest house. I will build millions of houses. But the biggest will be the mega prison where I'll put all of these corrupt officials. Pag nakulong ang mga gumagawa ng kalokohan at naparusahan, titigil ang corruption. But for as long as hindi nakukulong at nananalo pa sa election afterward, talaga walang matadala. Nakaw dito, nakaw doon. Walang tigil ang korupsyon. Maliit pa akong bata sa Maynila. Yan ang naririnig ko. Naghihirap tayo dahil sa korupsyon. Walang nakukulong. Now, you ask me, how do we address the problem and how do we make it effective? Ikulong. The certainty of arrest, punishment, and incarceration will prevent our at least minimized greatly corruption in the country.
All
And
right, Congressman, at this point,
corruption is the biggest factor why we remain to be poor. Not because kulang tayo sa yaman ng kalikasan. Mayaman tayo sa lupa, iilan lang ang may-ari. Mayaman tayo sa gubat, pinutol lahat ng mga mayayaman. Mayaman tayo sa tubig, pag-aari ng ilan lang. Kaya marami tayong dapat pakinabangan. Ako'y natutuwa. And I am very happy to be with Manny Pacquiao because
all right.
reflects all of this.
Congressman, we just have a few seconds left, but right now what we'd like to do is ask questions in our lightning round. So ang ibig sabihin nito po, you can only answer the following questions with yes or no. Yes or no at walang explanations needed po, Congressman. Okay, so I hope you're ready. First question, are you in favor of easier public access to the SALN of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress? Yes or no lang po?
Yes.
Do you support the lifting of foreign ownership limits of the Constitution? Yes or no?
I didn't get it.
Do you support or favor the lifting of foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes.
Pagdating naman po sa death penalty for drug-related crimes, yes or no?
No.
Are you in favor of the resumption of peace talks with communist rebels? Yes or no?
Yes.
Should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Definitely.
All right, Congressman, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it, Vice Presidential Aspirant Lito Atienza. Thank you for watching New Day here on CNN Philippines. The former Quezon City chairman of the Liberal Party, who was also a vice mayoral bet for PDP Laban in 2019, is replacing veteran broadcaster Noli De Castro in presidential aspirant Isko Moreno's senatorial slate. Acción Democrático confirms Jopet Sison has joined them and will be running for a seat in the upper chamber. Now, let's get up close and personal with Jopet Sison, who joins us live via Zoom. Good morning, Jopet. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ria. Thank you for having me, and good morning to everyone watching up close.
All right, Jopet, before deciding to run for the Senate, you already filed for a certificate of candidacy for QC District Representative. Can you tell us how exactly did you end up taking Noli De Castro's slot in Acción Democrático's senatorial slate?
Yes, Ria, the original plan is really to run for Congress. But I was informed that I was part of the short list for the senatorial slate. But since it was already filled up by back then by Kabayan, I continued with my original plan of running for Congress in the 4th District.
All right. Why do you think it was you who, in particular, who was chosen to take his place when he withdrew his candidacy?
Well, the party has a search committee, and they adopted several criteria. I was part of that short list. Fortunately, I was chosen to replace Kabayan when he backed out.
Right. Well, Jopet, certainly you are no stranger, no newbie to politics. You have experience in local politics where you were a member of the Liberal Party in the 90s, sitting as Quezon City 4th District Councilor from 1992 to 1998. You also ran for Quezon City Vice Mayor under PDP Laban back in 2019. And that's when you lost to Gian Soto by just a slim margin. Now, which of these experiences do you think can help you land a seat in the Senate?
Well, as to qualifications, I've been a councilor for 6 years. Prior to that, I even legislated in the barangay level. So in terms of legislation, I think my track record will show that during this time that I was a legislator for the city, I passed more than 250 laws. I had best attendance during that time, and I was able to have approved landmark legislations for the city. the process of legislation is more or less similar in the local legislation for the city as well as the Senate. The rules, Robert's Rules of Order applies. The process of legislation are more or less the same, and even the number in the city council, there are 24 councilors back then, and here in the Senate there will be 24 also. So probably the level of debate would be more intense in the Senate. So as to qualification, yeah, I believe I can do the job. As to the winnability, well, yeah, of course, I'm banking on name recognition based on my experience in politics and also based on the services we have rendered through our program, Ipaglaban Mo.
There are a number of re-electionists and former senators trying to make a comeback in 2022. It's a very tight race. There are so many candidates. How confident are you that you can win this election? You've mentioned your experience and name recall because you were in the media with a show that you had with your father several years back.
Yeah. Well, I always presume that when election time comes, the playing field is leveled. Each person gets one vote, whatever status you are in. I'm also relying on the help of the party and the volunteer groups under the party and supporting Isko Moreno Domagoso in order to assist us in campaigning nationwide.
Jobet, as I mentioned, you have a background in media. You also have an extensive background in public housing. What are your advocacies if indeed you do win a seat at the Senate?
Yeah, we're starting to go around, and as we go around, we do not waste time. We consult, we enter into dialogues so that we can come up with our legislative agenda, and likewise for Isko Moreno, his executive agenda. I have my own. I espouse transparency. I espouse housing, of course. That's where I came from, and also devolution, because that is also where I came from. But as we go around, we see the immediate needs. The Mayor Isko wants to provide field hospitals in the whole country to address the pandemic issue. And just yesterday, we had a dialogue with the farmers. He intends to execute tax cuts on oil prices and tax cuts likewise on electricity.
All right. Are there any laws, Jopet, that you think need to be amended? If ever, what would your priorities be?
As to amendments of laws, there would be several degrees. Well, probably a major amendment would be a constitutional change on the form of government, specifically pertaining to, we can discuss on federalized government or an adoption of that, so that we can provide for a government more near the people. That's a major amendment to the laws. But we can think also of several major legislations. My immediate thought right now is amendments on the budget itself. The most important law passed every year is the budget, and there has been so much talk about transparency in this budget that I think it is high time we provide amendments in terms of presentation of the budget. The issue of pork barrel can really be resolved through transparency by coming up with a democratized budget where it is open for every Filipino to scrutinize and to view, so that specific line items in this budget would easily be available, and so that we can avoid lump sum appropriations, being transparent, avoiding irregularities, avoiding corruption.
Right, Jopet, I wanted to talk a little bit about your party, Aksyon Demokratiko. Now, there's been speculation of infighting within the party following the resignation of Cesar Chavez and then Florin Hilbay. And this has been denied by the party, but some say these consecutive resignations are not good, at least for the optics, right? What can you say about this?
I don't see any infighting in the party. These are circumstances which are personal to the people who left, who have resigned from the party, but they are still providing assistance and help and guidance to the party in our decisions. So there is no infighting. We do not really see where that is coming from.
All right, so no bad blood there.
No bad blood, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. We've just spoken to senatorial aspirant Jopet Sison.